Peter's hands clenched the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white as he navigated the desolate streets swallowed by darkness. The night was unusually silent, the usual bustle of the city replaced by an eerie stillness that sent a shiver down Peter's spine. Unease settled deep within him, a gnawing feeling that something malevolent lurked in the shadows. A frantic call pierced through the silence, crackling through the taxi's radio. The dispatcher's voice trembled as they relayed the address, a forsaken part of town known for its dark history and whispered tales of demonic encounters. Ignoring the rising panic in his chest, Peter accepted the call, his sense of duty outweighing the growing dread that consumed him. As he arrived at the designated location, Peter's gaze fell upon a dilapidated building looming before him. Its crumbling facade and broken windows seemed to exude an aura of ancient malevolence, as if the structure itself had witnessed unspeakable horrors. The air turned heavy, suffocating, as if the very atmosphere conspired to trap him within a nightmare. With trepidation, Peter stepped out of the taxi, his footsteps echoing through the silence. The street lamps flickered, casting flickering shadows that danced in macabre patterns along the pavement. A cold wind whispered through the empty alleys, carrying with it a haunting, otherworldly moan that sent chills racing down Peter's spine. A figure emerged from the darkness, their features obscured by a tattered cloak that billowed ominously in the wind. Their eyes glowed with an unholy light, and a wicked smile played upon their lips. Fear clawed at Peter's insides, but he fought to maintain a facade of composure, his professional demeanor masking the terror that threatened to consume him. The passenger entered the back seat, their presence radiating a palpable malevolence. Peter's hands trembled as he adjusted the rearview mirror, revealing the passenger's face. It was a visage twisted by darkness, their eyes gleaming with a fiery intensity that bore into Peter's soul. He swallowed hard, suppressing the overwhelming urge to flee, as the passenger uttered a single word: "Drive." The air grew thick with an oppressive silence as the taxi glided through the streets, each passing moment intensifying the sense of impending doom. The passenger's voice, a sinister whisper, filled the vehicle. They spoke of ancient rituals, of pacts forged with the underworld, and the demonic entities that awaited their bidding. Peter's heart raced, his mind reeling with disbelief as the tales grew increasingly grotesque. The passenger recounted encounters with demons, describing their monstrous forms, their insatiable hunger for human souls. The words clawed at Peter's psyche, seeping into the deepest recesses of his mind, and he struggled to maintain his grip on reality. As they traveled deeper into the night, the world around Peter began to warp and distort. Shadows elongated, contorting into grotesque shapes that seemed to writhe with a life of their own. The streets twisted and turned in impossible angles, defying the laws of physics. Dread settled like a stone in the pit of Peter's stomach, his every instinct screaming for escape. The passenger's voice rose, a cacophony of demonic whispers that reverberated through the taxi. The air crackled with dark energy, and the temperature plummeted, chilling Peter to the bone. He glimpsed fleeting glimpses of clawed hands and leathery wings in the rearview mirror, their presence almost tangible. With every passing moment, Peter's sanity teetered on the edge of collapse. The boundary between the human realm and the demonic realm blurred, and he found himself trapped in a nightmarish reality. The passengers' demands grew more sinister, their intentions more nefarious. As they reveled in the terror they instilled. A surge of adrenaline coursed through Peter's veins, his survival instincts kicking into overdrive. He knew he had to escape, to break free from the clutches of these demonic forces. Summoning every ounce of courage, he made a desperate decision. With a sudden swerve of the wheel, he veered off the predetermined path, hurtling towards an uncertain fate. As the taxi careened through the night, Peter's heart pounded in his chest, his breath ragged and desperate. The demonic whispers pursued him, their malevolence echoing in his ears. The world outside the vehicle became a blur of twisted shapes and grotesque faces, as if reality itself had been contorted by the demon's influence. With a final burst of defiance, the taxi broke free from the clutches of the demonic realm. It screeched to a halt, and Peter found himself gasping for air, his body drenched in sweat. The cityscape before him had returned to its familiar form, but the memory of the encounter would forever haunt his nightmares. Peter, forever scarred by his brush with the demonic, vowed to never speak of that night, to bury the harrowing experience deep within his soul. He continued to drive his taxi, but the demon's presence lingered, an unseen shadow that tainted every fare he picked up. The once bustling city streets now held a sinister undertone, and Peter's gaze constantly darted in search of lurking horrors. Sleep became an elusive luxury for Peter, plagued by vivid nightmares that transported him back to that fateful night. Demonic figures taunted him in his dreams, their twisted forms seared into his mind's eye. He would wake up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding, feeling as if the boundary between sleep and reality had been irreversibly blurred. Whispers followed Peter wherever he went, faint echoes of the demonic voices that had plagued him during that nightmarish drive. They spoke of unspeakable acts, of ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge that had tainted his soul. The weight of their secrets bore down upon him, threatening to shatter his fragile sanity. The world around Peter began to shift, revealing glimpses of the supernatural lurking just beyond the veil of normalcy. He saw flickering shadows in his peripheral vision, heard disembodied voices whispering in forgotten tongues. Faces twisted with demonic features appeared in reflections, their malevolent gazes leering at him with twisted delight. Desperation consumed Peter as he sought answers, desperate to understand the nature of his torment. He delved into forbidden texts, ancient tomes that promised insight into the realm of demons. The knowledge he unearthed only deepened his terror, revealing a dark truth, that he had become an unwitting pawn in a larger, more sinister game. Haunted by the demons that had invaded his life, Peter embarked on a quest for redemption. He sought out occult experts, religious leaders, anyone who might possess the power to rid him of the demonic presence that clung to his soul. But with each failed attempt, his hope waned, and the demons seemed to grow stronger, relishing in his despair. Peter's days became a haze of fear and paranoia, his once steady hands now trembling with uncertainty. He saw malevolence lurking in the eyes of strangers, heard sinister laughter in the wind. The veil between the mortal realm and the demonic realm thinned, threatening to consume him entirely. In his darkest moments, when the weight of his torment became unbearable, Peter contemplated the unthinkable, an escape from this living nightmare. But the demons reveled in his turmoil, mocking his desperation with their unholy whispers. They wanted him to succumb, to surrender his soul to their insatiable hunger. As night fell once again, Peter prepared to face his demons, both literal and figurative. He knew that this confrontation would be his last chance for salvation, a battle between his dwindling humanity and the encroaching darkness. With a heavy heart and a flicker of determination in his eyes, he set out into the night, ready to confront the demons that had claimed his life as their own. Little did Peter know, the true horrors that awaited him were far beyond anything he could have imagined. The demons, eager to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs, had prepared a twisted game of torment and suffering. And as the moon disappeared behind a veil of clouds, Peter stepped into the abyss, his fate sealed in the clutches of demonic forces beyond comprehension. As Peter ventured deeper into the night, the streets transformed into a nightmarish labyrinth. Buildings contorted into grotesque shapes, their windows resembling leering eyes that followed his every move. Malevolent shadows slithered across the pavement, whispering taunts and promises of eternal damnation. The air grew thick with an acrid stench, a putrid mixture of sulfur and decay that assaulted Peter's senses. It clawed at his throat, causing him to gag, but he pressed on, his determination fueled by a flicker of hope that still burned within him. The echoes of his footsteps reverberated through the desolate alleys, creating an eerie symphony of sound. Every corner he turned seemed to lead him deeper into the heart of darkness, the path twisting and turning like a serpent, confounding his sense of direction. Time lost all meaning as minutes stretched into hours, and the veil between reality and nightmare grew ever thinner. Whispers danced on the edge of Peter's consciousness, a chorus of demonic voices that seemed to emanate from the very walls around him. They spoke in ancient languages, their words laced with malice and twisted desire. The voices grew louder, more insistent, as if urging him to abandon all hope and surrender to the demonic realm that awaited him. Through the shifting darkness, Peter caught glimpses of twisted figures lurking in the shadows. Their forms were monstrous and grotesque, a macabre fusion of human and demonic features. Their eyes glowed with a sickly light, and their laughter echoed through the night, a haunting melody that sent shivers down Peter's spine. With each step, the barriers between the mortal realm and the demonic realm grew thinner. Reality wavered, flickering like a dying flame, and Peter's mind became a battleground between fear and determination. Doubt gnawed at his resolve, but he pushed it aside, focusing on his goal, to confront the demons that had plagued his existence. As Peter rounded a corner, he stumbled upon a dilapidated church, its once majestic facade now marred by time and neglect. The heavy wooden doors creaked open, beckoning him forward with an otherworldly allure. Hesitation gnawed at his heart, but he knew that this was his final destination, the epicenter of the demonic forces that had tormented him. Stepping through the threshold, Peter found himself in a realm that defied all logic and reason. The church's interior stretched impossibly, its vast expanse filled with ethereal mist and swirling shadows. Symbols of ancient summoning rituals adorned the walls, pulsating with an unholy energy. From the depths of the abyss, a voice reverberated, its tone both commanding and seductive. It spoke of power and temptation, of the boundless possibilities that awaited Peter if only he would embrace the darkness. The voice promised him release from his suffering, an end to the torment that had consumed his life, but Peter knew that succumbing to the demon's enticements meant forfeiting his very soul. With a flicker of defiance, he mustered the strength to resist the siren call. He clung to his humanity, his love for life, and the flicker of hope that refused to be extinguished. The shadows coalesced into tangible forms, swirling around Peter like a tempest. Their demonic visages contorted with rage, their eyes blazing with fury. They lunged at him, talons outstretched, but Peter fought back with a determination born of desperation. Battles raged within the spectral realm, a clash between light and darkness, between the indomitable spirit of a man and the malevolence of the demonic forces. Peter's fist struck with a fury fueled by a lifetime of torment, his every move driven by a singular purpose, to banish the demons that sought to claim his soul. As the battle reached its crescendo, a blinding light erupted from Peter's being, a radiant burst of pure energy. The demons recoiled, their howls of agony piercing the air, as they were consumed by the very darkness they had unleashed. In the aftermath, silence descended upon the spectral realm. Peter's breaths came in ragged gasps as he surveyed the remnants of his triumph. The church stood serene, as if untouched by the chaos that had unfolded within its walls. With the demons vanquished, Peter stumbled back towards the mortal realm, his steps heavy with exhaustion. The journey back was a blur, his mind a haze of disbelief and relief. He emerged from the nightmarish labyrinth, battered and scarred, but forever changed. Though Peter had defeated the demons that had plagued him, their presence would forever haunt his memories. He carried the weight of their malevolence, a constant reminder of the horrors he had endured. The experience had transformed him, leaving behind a fragment of darkness that would forever lurk within his soul. As he climbed back into his taxi, Peter's gaze met his own reflection in the rearview mirror, and he saw a glimmer of resilience in his eyes. He knew that he had faced the darkest depths of his own existence and emerged victorious. The journey had tested his resolve, but it had also revealed the strength that resided within him. From that day forward, Peter vowed to live his life with a renewed sense of purpose. He would cherish each moment, embracing the beauty and joy that the world had to offer. He would use his experience as a catalyst for personal growth, seeking to help others who battled their own inner demons. The nightmarish ordeal had taught Peter the power of resilience, the importance of hope, and the indomitable spirit of the human soul. He understood that darkness could be conquered, and that even in the face of unimaginable horrors, the light of the human spirit would always prevail. And so, as the taxi carried him away from the shadows of the night, Peter looked forward to a future filled with possibility. He knew that the road ahead would not be without its challenges, but he faced it with unwavering determination, armed with the knowledge that he had triumphed over the forces of darkness. The story of Peter serves as a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is always a flicker of light that can guide us through the abyss. It reminds us of the strength that lies within each of us, waiting to be awakened. And above all, it illuminates the transformative power of courage, resilience, and hope in the face of adversity. At the end of this video, I hope you have enjoyed this story. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video to receive all new horror stories that are more exciting and mysterious. Thank you, my dears.